Welcome to another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, coming to you 6 days a week as we interview whitetail experts and hear their traditions and personal stories of the hunt. Learn more about the latest gear, discover proven tips, and the latest strategies so you can make your next hunt a success. Now, here's your host, Bruce Hutchin.
This is Whitetail Rendezvous Podcast, episode number 230. On today's show, you hear from Brenda Valentine, First Lady of Hunting. Brenda is the national spokesman for the National Wild Turkey Federation. She also was the first female inducted into the Legend of the Outdoors Hall of Fame. Brenda brings a lot to the show, so listen up, grab a pencil and paper if you get a chance, and take some notes, because she's going to talk about some things that are important to us all, like getting out and voting, be a conservationist, and welcome women and youth into the outdoors. Hey, listeners, don't forget to text 33444 Food Plot for your free Food Plot ebook. Welcome to another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous. And today it's very, very special to have Brenda Valentine, First Lady of Hunting, on the show. And Brenda has been and is the national spokesman of the National Wild Turkey Federation. She's also spent 20 years with the Redhead Pro Hunter team, sponsored by Bass Pro. And she also writes an article called Flock Talk, published in Turkey Country. And we're going to talk about some of those things today. So, Brenda, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Bruce. So you didn't have to give so much introduction, but I appreciate it.
Well, you've earned it. And in the warm-up, which you're going to hear after this, because I'm going to insert it. But, you know, Brenda has spent her life, listeners, doing a lot of different things. And recently I had a young lady called, who's named Manny Crowley, from Wyoming, up in Wyoming, that has been in touch with Brenda. So how did that begin, and what does that represent when you get involved in a young lady's life?
Well, maybe I described it a little bit to you. It's like you sow a lot of seeds in your life, and every once in a while one will hit some fertile ground and sprout, and you just feel real pleased when that happens. And over the years, I mean for many years, I've had young people, male and female, approach me. Most of the time it's an email, and every once in a while I might get a Facebook message, or, you know, used to at every public appearance there would be people come up later after a seminar or something, and the main question is, I like to hunt and fish. I love the outdoors. How can I get in the hunting industry? You know, it's pretty much of a stock question, and you can't blame them, because, you know, it looks glamorous, and so many people want to be able to make a living in the hunting industry. And Maddie was kind of the same way. I get an email from her, and she's telling me how much she enjoys the outdoors and would like to make a career in it. And, you know, my stock answer is that there's so much more to being in the outdoor industry than on a TV show, or, you know, hosting that, or there's just a lot of things that you can do besides be a movie star. And I think things that are much more fulfilling. So I suggested to her that she get into conservation. You know, that's something that we really need. There's a lot of space out there. You know, there's areas that you don't even realize that are there. And so I just told her, I said, if I were you, I would look into the conservation aspect of it. I would also look into the aspect of giving back. I said, you know, you don't just want a job, you want a fulfilling job, and something that you look forward to doing, that makes you feel good. And when you're old, you can look back and say, I made a difference. So, you know, I didn't know her from anybody. This was a name on an email. But maybe a year later, she sent me another email, and she says, "Oh, thank you so much, Miss Valentine, for that advice. I'm volunteering with, I don't even remember what one of the sportsmen's groups, and to tell you the truth, I didn't even remember the first one. But she told me, she says, "Oh, you gave me this advice, some time back." Well, then I get another email after a period of time, and she says, "Oh, guess what? I'm doing an apprenticeship with the National Wild Turkey Federation." And I had mentioned to her, I said, I'm a national spokesperson of this organization, and they are making tremendous strides in they're a conservation group. They're also a hunter group, and they're almost a legislative group. They're not that, but we do have lobbyists in Washington working on our game laws. Watching our game laws, watching our Second Amendment, any bills and things that come up that might be a threat to our firearm laws. And so as a hunting group and as a conservation group, I'm really proud of this organization. And so I suggested to Maddie, I said, you might look into that. They have openings occasionally, and you can watch on the website for that. And so lo and behold, they were open for an apprentice, and she made the move from Wyoming down to Edgeville, South Carolina. And, I think she's just happy as a pig in mud down there. So that's good. And, everybody's a winner like that, because she seems like such a go-getter, a very smart, have it all together kind of young woman. I listened to your podcast with her. I was extremely pleased on that. And from every indication, all I'm hearing, that, that was a good fit for her and the Federation. And so, when people ask me these things, I try to give them an honest answer. It's not easy. You have to work, and it may not be what you thought it was going to be when you get there. So, it's like everybody that goes to Nashville with a guitar on their back doesn't come home with a record contract. But, there's other aspects of it. Everybody cannot be front and center on stage, but, there's a place for everybody. Just don't try to be in someone else's place. Choose your own place, or find your own place.
Yeah, well said. And listeners, people that have been successful in the outdoor industry and have represented it for years are more than willing to help you. That's the first part. The second part, you got to do your part. And the young lady we're talking about, she had the drive. She knew what she wanted to do. She set some goals. She had some vision. And then she built a relationship just through email. Did you ever talk to her on the phone, Brenda?
I don't think I have. No, I felt like I did because I listened to her on your podcast. I don't think she ever called me. If she did, I don't remember. And like I said, I get a lot of phone calls, a lot of emails and stuff of this nature. And, a lot of them are school projects. People wanting to write these school papers. How can I get in the hunting industry? Or, there's a lot of parents that will do this. They'll say, my son is the best shot in the world, and he likes to squirrel hunt, and how can he get a job in the hunting industry? So it comes from a lot of different angles. I try to be honest and just give them vague suggestions of where I'd start looking. Number one, even I've got neighborhood kids, and I tell them, I said, go get an education, go take wildlife biology, go do something that gives you a background. And you may not end up, with a big sponsorship and, your own TV show, but you might be the biologist for one of the most up-and-coming companies out there. All of these seed companies and these feed companies and camo companies and conservation groups, they have to have good workers, people that are passionate about the outdoors. And if you happen to have an education where you know something about wildlife or land or forestry or agriculture, any of that, well, then, you fall in those slots. And so that's kind of the angle I go at it with. Just let them know that there's more to it than just what you see on TV.
And thanks for that. And folks, just take to heart what Brenda's sharing. And Brenda's just one person, but there's a lot of ladies out there that would more than willing to come aside, a young gal, a single mom, whoever that has visions or has a dream of being in the outdoor industry, because it's like any other industry. It takes a lot of work and it takes relationships. So think about that. Brenda, let's change it up. And we're in turbulent times in this country for sure, and I usually don't go down this road, but you just wrote an article for Flock Talk, so let's spend 4 or 5 minutes talking about that article.
Okay, I certainly will, and I usually don't get very political either, and this is not about who you vote for or the issues. This is based on just the idea of what a American citizen responsibility it is to just simply vote. Recently, I saw a voter registration list for my home area here, and it was appalling. The people that I know personally, that are good, upstanding, law-abiding, tax-paying people that aren't even registered to vote. And it just knocked the air out of me. I thought, I can't believe the people that I bump into every day around town and up and down the road don't care enough about the direction and the future of this country for their grandkids or great-grandkids and future generations to make the effort to at least have a voice in it. It just, to me, that is the very least that any U.S. citizen can do is to register and vote. And it worries me about all of our ancestors, what they went through. I mean, they bled and died so we'd have these freedoms, and we're not even taking advantage of it. There's people here that don't even appreciate the opportunity or the freedom to make a choice. And so this is what it's all about. It's like we're letting down our forefathers that fought and died for us to have this freedom for nothing. And then I think about all the people in other countries that envy us because we have a choice. Those poor people under all kinds of dictatorships, they have no hope of ever getting to voice their opinions. And here we have it sitting out here just, ready on a platter, and we don't even take advantage of it. So shame on any U.S. citizen that is not a registered voter and take the opportunity. So I know I'm stepping on toes. I know I'm on a bandbox, but it is important, if you care about the future, to at least let your voice be heard.
Thank you for that. And it's very succinct, and it's a message that we all should take to heart and just register. Yeah. Whatever party, wherever you cast your vote, cast your vote.
Well, it could not be any simpler. I mean, they have the early bird voting. I know everybody's busy, but gosh, the polls will open, 3 weeks ahead of elections? Sometime you can find 15 minutes in 3 weeks to walk in there, push those buttons, pull that lever, and walk out. It's simple. I go to the early bird voting as soon as it opens, just in case something comes up and I don't make it on election day, then my voice has already been heard and my vote has been cast. I do it as an insurance policy against anything getting in my way on election day. And so, there are no excuses.
And ladies and gentlemen, for the last, I don't know how many years, Kathy and I have been voting. absentee ballots. They mailed the ballot to us.
Yeah.
And so if you don't want to go and stand in line, which typically, if you do it right, like Brenda's saying, early bird, that you're not going to, but just tell your registrar of your county, I want it mailed to me, and you'll get it mailed. Period.
Sure, because there's a lot of people that can't get out. There, people that are shut-ins and whatever, but they have a voice too. So everybody's voice deserves to be heard, and it is fearful to me that the just complacency of the U.S. citizen will someday make us where we don't have the freedom to make a choice.
Amen to that. Let's switch it up now and get on to conservation and giving back. And ladies and gentlemen, Brenda Valentine is humble and she's modest, but few people have given back as much as this lady has. So Brenda, spend some time in sharing why you do that and how you do that, so other people can say, well, gee, I can do 1% of what that lady's doing.
Oh, I don't do what I do on the conservation part. It's a selfish reason that I do it. I'll tell you that, Bruce. I've always tried to work on habitat and stuff, but for about 8 years now, I've been seriously involved in my own little habitat program here. 2 years ago, I started this pollinator program, and I've got close to 50 acres that's in wildflowers and native grasses, but it's particularly for honeybees and songbirds and habitat. It's for quail, it's for ground nesting birds, wild turkey, and last winter I did some deer hunting over it, but I do this because it is so self-satisfying. I'll just tell you that. Yeah, it's pretty if people drive down the road and all that, and the wildlife love it, but it just feeds my soul to see the wildlife out there. Just bees swarming when, just a few years ago, we weren't seeing honeybees. And so they found it, all the monarch butterflies, all the butterflies are just swarming it. So that, to me, is, it may be a selfish reason, but I just love to see the wildlife out there. And it's one of those, if you provide it, they will come, and they've discovered it. So for me, I don't consider that giving back. I give it back to the animals, but it was theirs to begin with. And sure, I take from it. Come turkey season, I'm out there just turkey hunting just hard as I can go with the rest of them. Just right now I have a pan of turkey lasagna baking in the oven, made from ground turkey, because that's pretty much, that's a huge protein source here at the Valentine house is wild turkey meat. So, I'm taking from it, but I like to feel like I don't take near as much as I give back to the turkeys. In fact, yesterday I was working around the farm, and gosh, there's dust bowls everywhere. It's hot and dry here, and the turkeys, they're enjoying that loose dirt. But it's like, man, there was an explosion of turkeys, and I attribute it all to good habitat. They've had that good nesting area with all this low-growing, the wildflowers and the native grasses. It's just better for them. They feel secure in there. It's a good place to nest and to raise those poults and the little baby deer. I don't know if you saw on my Facebook page, but one day this week, this fawn, I don't think it had ever stood. It was right at the edge of the yard and right where the wildflowers begin. It was dry. It had just simply been born. I made a picture backed away, and in about an hour, here come the mama, and it got up and nursed. So, just stuff like that. Gosh, it's so rewarding just to see that. Even though I am a hardcore hunter, come this winter, I'm going to put meat in the freezer. But right now, everything's off. I'm just enjoying watching that nature, and just, the more results you see, the less you mind sweating doing it.
Well said. Well said. Let's talk about your role as the national spokesman for the National Wild Turkey Federation. What does that consist of?
Well, that consists of quite a bit of traveling, but I go to National Wild Turkey Federation events all over the country. It might be a hunting heritage banquet. It might be a Women in the Outdoors event. It might be a Jake's event. This spring, I was on the road every week. We had one wonderful Wheeling Sportsman event. It was for wounded veterans, and I think we had 29 wounded veterans, many of them in wheelchairs with some horrific stories and stuff, but we took them turkey hunting, and it turned out great. Not everybody got a turkey, but that's turkey hunting, but a lot of them did. A 2-day event up in the mountains of East Tennessee, just fantastic. But I do these all over. On my schedule right now, I have a ladies' event. I think it's 3 days of women in the outdoor teaching skills, teaching about conservation. I might be teaching them how to shoot a bow. I might be teaching them how to make a wreath or an arrangement out of antlers and feathers, or I might be teaching them how to field dress a deer or how to cook turkey meat. There's so many individual areas of outdoor skills, and so this is kind of a outdoor skills weekend for women, and I have Kansas and Texas and all over the country. I do this, and that's part of the outreach program of the Wild Turkey Federation called Women in the Outdoors. And the Jake's event is the same thing. Jake's is our youth group, and they come together. It's boys and girls, usually teaching them either how to fish or how to shoot a BB gun or a bow and arrow, or giving them outdoor skills. These are very important parts of the Federation, and that's partly where I come in to do these things. I might go in and give a talk to a group about the importance of maybe gun safety, or maybe just creating habitat, or any number of things that are very important to the mission of the National Wild Turkey Federation.
So if somebody's interested in those two events that you talked about, how would they find out about them? Where do they go?
Well, on the NWTF website, there are every state is listed, and if you're interested in one in your state, you just click on your state and see what events are coming up. I mean, there's dozens of them every week someplace, and find out what's in your state. Maybe there's something just across the state line in another state that you might be wanting to go to, but it's some of them, there's a nominal charge. Most of them are free, but you just sign up and go, and I guarantee you'll learn something and you'll make good friends. That's the thing of it. I see so many friendships there and so many doors opened for new skills, and honestly, I see lives changed at every event because there's such a discovery there of things they didn't know. They're stepping outside their comfort zone. There's a lot of these that are wheeling sportsmen too, and that is kids, adults, people with disabilities that often are not included in many outdoor events, and maybe that do not have the skills to hold on just 1 second.
Yes, ma'am.
But okay, I just had an interruption. I'm sorry.
The dogs are barking.
Oh, I know. There's someone at the door. It's usually I'm way off down here in the boondocks, so I don't get many interruptions. But if anybody comes to our house, they're treed halfway up the driveway.
That's a good thing.
Well, they don't. It's not like they get to see vehicles very often. We're down at the dead end of Podunk Holler here.
Oh, so thinking about young ladies, we talked about at the beginning of the show, and then single moms. How do you encourage them, or better words, empower them to just take that next step and get involved in the outdoors?
Well, the greatest obstacle that I see with young single mothers is time and maybe babysitters or caretakers or whatever. I just, to them it's overwhelming, especially if they work, they have children to take care of, they have so many responsibilities that they usually put themselves last. And it is just such a tough time to make time for themselves. The ones that I've seen that really seem to thrive are the ones that have maybe young boys that sometimes there's not a father figure to teach them. And I have a lot of young mothers that have sons that say, I want my boy to know how to fish, or I want him to learn how to hunt. I've been a hunter education instructor for many, many years, and it's amazing how many young mothers will accompany their kids to take their hunter education course, and they'll take it with them. And they say, well, I never knew this, I never knew that, and he doesn't have a father to take him hunting. And I remember my dad taking me, or my dad taking my brother or something, and I want my kid to have those memories and be able to do that. So, the hunter education is always a good place to start. But Jake's events, if they find a Jake's event in their area, and like I said, most NWTF chapters will hold a Jake's event oftentimes during the summer, and the parents are always welcome to attend. You get some of those moms there, and they see what they're doing, see what the kids are, how much fun they're having, what they're learning, and then the next thing you know, they want to go. We call it a WETO, which is Women in the Outdoors, and you invite them to that, and the next thing you know, they're hooked. Before long, they want to be an instructor, or they're taking different courses, and like I say, it pulls them from maybe a day-to-day drudgery to something that they're passionate about.
Thank you so much for that. And Brenda, we're at the time of the show where you get a couple of minutes here to give shout-outs to whomever you wish, and then we'll close the show.
Okay. I'm not sure what you mean by that.
Just shout-outs to your friends at the National Wild Turkey Federation,
okay.
Bass Pro.
I'm sorry. I wasn't sure what that was about. How about I give a big shout-out to Mossy Oak Camo and the Mossy Oak Gamekeepers crew. I'm a member of that. I feel passionate about the gamekeepers, and so I work with them heavily, and also Bass Pro Shops and the Redhead Pro Hunting Team. So many people are familiar with them. We had a TV show on the Outdoor Channel for many, many years. I was co-host of that, and that team is like a family to me. So the Bass Pro Shops, Redhead Pro Hunting Team, and of course the National Wild Turkey Federation. It's the most progressive conservation group out there, and I'm proud flying their flag.
Thank you so much, Brenda Valentine, for taking some time and just sharing it with us, with our listeners across North America.
It was my honor just to be invited onto your podcast, Bruce. Well,
you're one heck of a lady. I can't wait till we meet face to face, and that'll be pleasure on my behalf.
We just need to plan on getting in the woods sometime. You're out there.
Yes, ma'am.
We'll plan the hunting trip sometime.
Well, I'd love to, and I don't know if you saw it on social media, but I did draw a sheep tag, an archery sheep tag for Colorado this year.
I saw that. I keep up with you. I'm envious. Yeah.
Oh, finally! It was so many years.
I know.
Putting that in. I got myself. Go ahead.
No, I put in for it for so many years. I finally just gave up and quit putting in.
Yeah.
But I'm congratulating you.
Oh, I got a 24-year-old mountain chirper coming out of Wyoming, and he's going to carry my pack because at 70, those mountains are really big.
Oh, I know. Yeah. That's the key to it, is to have a young and tough guide.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And I got him.
There you go.
I got him.
And hope that he can carry you if it gets that bad.
Well, no,
Oh, I know. I'm just joking.
You're teasing me.
But I do congratulate you so much. That's something big to look forward to.
Yeah, and I just had my hip redone. So we're digressing here, but Brenda, thank you so much for being a guest.
Thank you. Look forward to it again.
Make sure you listen to the next episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, where you're going to hear from Marty Davis about hunting in Missouri and hunting in southern Illinois. Marty's a great huntress, and she knows her game. So listen up, and you just might learn something. Hey, a special friend, Paige Darden of My Topo, says, before you head into the woods, visit mytopo.com to design a waterproof map centered on the area you plan to hunt. Overlay public boundaries such as wildlife management areas and private land owner parcel data and owners' names. My Topo prints and ships within 24 hours for quick delivery to your mailbox. Find out who owns all the land around your favorite hunting spots. It's a great service I use often, and I highly recommend it to you.
Thanks for joining us. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, where you can listen and learn from the experts so you can be more successful on your next hunt. Until next time, listen, learn, and succeed.